Vivian. I'm going over your Lecture 7 work. This is a very good outline for the most part, really good, much better than the normal. The only thing I take issue with is this inserting items onto slides, and later you put inserting items onto your presentation. That's kind of a duplication. I mean, I know you meant it to be, two separate things, but this applying to the entire thing is applying per slide, but not everybody will see that. Even in date and time normally applies to the entire presentation as well. So I think this is basically a duplication of some sort. It could be put together. The other thing is that I'm not quite sure that people really see items of this type as all belonging in one parak, in one area. After all, pictures is one thing, and a slide number is something quite different. And it's kind of weird to group them together. I'm not quite sure people would actually look at it that way. They might look at pictures, for example, as something to do with graphics. And there's so many things you can talk about there, working with graphics and the type of graphic items that you can put onto your slide and how you might be able to rotate them and do different things with them. So I'm thinking that maybe you should have a separate chapter just on, working with graphics or something to do with graphics, and then inserting items onto slides would maybe just contain things like comments and slide number and date and time and headers and footers. I'm not sure. Okay. I'm not even sure if inserting items onto slides is necessarily the right category. I have to really rethink that, perhaps. Anyway, everything else seems to be okay. I think also you may want to change this title using different style options. Maybe something to do more with changing the look of your presentation, or I'm not sure, something that maybe people would more identify with. Style options, I'm not quite sure if that speaks to many people other than people that really understand the program. But anyway, I like the way you organized it. In general, you did a very good job, I have to say. Okay, in exercise 2 you did very nicely. Here's you got all the purposes correct. You went on and on about CMAP, but the first and foremost thing is that it allows you to construct and modify concept maps. That's the main thing, and then afterwards you can explain what those are, but the main thing is that. Okay? All the stuff about knowledge resources and this and that is, it's all very abstract and all very nice, but the basic thing is, if someone would ask you what does it do, it allows you to construct a concept map. Okay, this exercise you did alright. It's just kind of a brainstorming idea of the things you would normally expect that each of these programs would do for you once you understand the main purpose. That's fine. Makes a lot of sense. Okay, normally speaking, this is your outline now, exercise 4. Normally speaking, all of this stuff, saving and retrieving a map and this kind of stuff might be good for an orientation and getting started. But some of this stuff, scalable vector graphics, CMAP outline, and this and that, this usually doesn't belong in a getting started. This kind of stuff should be parceled off into the get overview. Okay, so in other words, some of this is what we would like to see as an overall understanding of what the program can do. The getting started is just to get us started using the program, giving us a little bit of orientation to the interface to see what's on the interface, right? Why the buttons are there, what they're there for, and a little bit about what's in the menus, but not much, right? And then, of course, the opening stuff about how to create a map and make a very simple CMAP. That's fine. But all this other stuff, when you get into a life map, and this is complex stuff that it's not basic stuff, right? And this is the kind of thing you want to overview very briefly in the overview chapter. Just mention that these things exist, and refer people to the chapter where you discuss those things more in depth. But it doesn't really belong in a getting started. To get started, I don't need to know what an IVML file is. In fact, I don't even know what it is now, and I've used CMAP quite a lot. Okay, now the other thing is that normally speaking, we want to try to put the basic activities towards the beginning before the more complex activities or more complicated. So editing your map would be one of the main things at the beginning, okay? Not after nested and merged nodes. I think it should be right at the beginning. Things like how to select text to edit, how to the linking phrase or a concept, how to find text you're looking for, that type of thing. This would be more at the beginning. Okay. I don't think adding or dragging in resources is necessarily an editing activity. Okay, just like in Word, you normally wouldn't consider linking to other files, outside of Word, video files and things like that, which you can do. That normally would not be in the editing chapter in Word. Okay, it just wouldn't be there. Editing chapter really just is this stuff here at the beginning. You might have put something like spell checking. That would be in an editing thing probably, or grammar checking or whatever. That's all editing your text and maybe editing the map in some way. But when you get into things like adding in resources, linking to outside files and that type of thing, it probably deserves its own chapter, probably, or maybe some kind of a chapter together with heading and comments. I'm not sure. Okay, cutting, copying, pasting, and deleting. These type of things actually belong at the beginning, right here. The first thing in editing your map would be cutting, copying, pasting, and editing. This is the most basic, simple activities that you have in all programs, and this would be at the beginning right here. Okay, or even in the getting started actually, but you could put it here if you want. Okay, now this using style and CMap, I think you mean using styles. I really don't think that that's the title for this chapter. The chapter is mainly formatting your CMap, and if you don't think that people understand what formatting is, then you can just say enhancing the look of your concept map or your CMap, something like that. And then you would explain that you can, in the chapter overview, you can enhance the look of the CMap by providing color, changing the shapes and all that, which is not necessarily making a style, so to speak, a repeatable style, as most people identify styles as something that's like makes consistency. But here, this would just be all about how you can change the look of the map in many different ways and make it look more professional or just better looking. Okay, and then everything else pretty much is all right. Okay, styling the canvas. That's fine. Very good. Okay, again, expanding or shrinking your CMap. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. If you're talking about nesting, then probably should go in its own chapter. You put it somewhere up above. But collaborating between scene maps. Well, it's really collaborating. It's really collaborating between people, not CMaps. I mean, there may be a way of actually collaborating between two CMaps, but I think what you mean is two people can collaborate on one CMap. I can collaborate with somebody else, and we can both modify that one CMap and jointly build it up. So this is not really the right title, I don't think, unless you meant something else here. Okay. This is two CMaps here, I understand that, but most of this is not. Okay, exporting a map doesn't really belong under collaboration. Exporting is an individual, really, who wants to just produce the map in a way that can be then put on the web or doing something of that sort. So that would be in its own chapter, or maybe under the tools chapter, or something like that. This doesn't belong in a separate chapter all by itself. My places. We already dealt with this in the getting started. I don't understand why you made this a separate chapter. It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay. Tools, well, you've got the annotations here, which I'm not sure just belongs in tools. I really think that it's a mistake to put all these things under tools. Nobody will find them, let's face it that way. Looking at tools chapter, there's so many different tools, you know what I mean? It's not like when you open up a real toolbox that you're going to find a hammer and nails and certain things, that are standard. People don't have any standard for this kind of program. So they open up a tool, they have no idea they're going to be able to find, maybe spell check and stuff like that, but as I said, it probably goes under editing, but certainly they're not going to know that they can build a presentation here or any of these other things, or validate and fix resource links. So I think really need to break this up into subchapters. Anyway, look at the way I did the outline in the feedback lecture, and you'll see a different view in how I did it and get some better perspective here. Okay, this is quite nice what you've written here. That was very nice, the first part. By the way, don't capitalize menus in the middle of a sentence. These menus, small m. Okay? That's really nice. Again, small m here. Really well written. Of course, here you would show a screen capture somewhere here showing an example of all these little icons. And here too. Okay, by clicking on the file menu, comma, choosing file, comma, and choosing new map. You don't need this and here. I begin using the program. Well, here is starting a new CMAP. I would change the title here. How to begin using the program is actually over here. How to start the program. And how, if you've already gotten this far as starting to draw a CMAP, starting a new CMAP, then here is really how to begin your CMAP, really, or start, begin